Welcome to the Shannon Atchison Show, real business talk for real life. I'm Shannon, creative business coach, digital product lover, and your strategy sidekick. I've built a business that fits my life, and now I help other women do the same. No hustle, no fluff, just smart, honest conversations about building a business that works for you. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome back to the show. I am so excited to have two of my actually new friends here, Christina and Corinne, and we are just going to talk about a whole bunch of awesome business stuff. And so the easiest way, the best way that I love to start the show is, first of all, to welcome you guys and thank you for coming on the show, and then to have you introduce yourself and sort of share how you got into the online business world, because nobody can introduce you better than yourselves. So how about you tell my listeners who you guys are and how you got into the online business world?
Go ahead, Corinne. You go first.
Well, thank you for having us, Shannon. We've been looking forward to this ever since we scheduled it, like last week, I guess.
Yeah.
So I got in, I think, a little bit later than Christina. I started in 2013, and it was when my youngest had started school. And so I wanted something to fill my days while the kids were in school. But at the time, I also had a teenager, there's a 10-year gap between my youngest and oldest. And I had several sister-in-laws that had kids that were older than mine that always said, you think that you want to be there when they're little, but when you have to be there is when they're teenagers, because that's when you don't want them getting all of their advice and information from a bunch of dumb teenagers, right? Like you want to be
On the
there when
school
they get
bus.
home from school so you can undo all the
True.
damage.
Yeah.
So I needed a job that was flexible, that, I could see them off in the morning, be there when they got home, was intellectually challenging. Very type A personalities. I think you find that a lot in our space, right? So it needed to be like checking off boxes and working on new things and growing, and blogging, which I didn't realize was even a thing until that point, was like the perfect fit. And then was such a perfect fit. I'm so happy to wake up every day and do something that I thoroughly, even in the bad times, I really love what we do. So, but that was how I got in, basically to fill that time while the kids were in school.
And when did you start, Corinne?
That was 2013.
That's awesome. I love that.
So mine's a little different. I'm Christina Hitchcock. My website is It Is a Keeper. That's my primary website. I also have a second food site called Cake Mix Recipes. Mine started out as a hobby. I was cleaning my house one day, and I'm a recipe hoarder, right? So I had piles of recipes all over the place. So it was like right after Christmas. I'd just gotten the DVD Julie and Julia for Christmas. So I popped it in. I plopped down all my piles of recipes, and I'm sorting through them while watching the movie. And in the movie, she cooks her way through Julia Child's cookbook, Mastering the Art of French Cooking, and she blogs about her adventure. And I'm sitting there, and like the little cogs in my brain clicked, and they're like, "Oh, you should cook your way through this pile and start a blog." So I'm like, what is a blog? Like I Googled it. What is a blog? And by the end of that weekend, I had the framework of what is now It Is a Keeper, and that was back in 2010. I had a full-time job, so I was working full-time, just kind of doing this on the side. Maybe about a year and a half into it, 2 years into it, I was able to leave my full-time job, and I haven't looked back since.
That's awesome. My
Yeah.
sister loves that movie. I'm pretty sure she
Yeah,
watches
me
it like
too.
every year, and she is so not a blogger. She just likes recipes and cooking.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. I feel like those are like two really common places where we start from, right? Like we want something to do while the kids are small. Like I started in 2010 too, right? And I had 3 little kids. But then we want to be around longer. And also a lot of people started as hobbies. Like I feel like those are two super, super common
Yeah.
starting points. So
Mhm.
how did the two of you meet and then decide to team up to start the Smart Influencer? Because that's how I met you guys. You had me on your
So
podcast.
It's funny because we met doing the thing that we still like. It is still one of my favorite aspects of what we as bloggers get to experience. We met at a conference,
Mm.
like in the hotel lobby, like
Yeah.
quite literally. And we always talk about that. Like we reference the hotel lobby so often because those were our favorite parts of conferences. Like that's when you get to meet someone and you find out all their tips and tricks. Like it's not necessarily in the sessions, but yeah, we got there early. Because that is us. We both showed up early to the conference, and we're like, "Oh, you're here for the conference too." We were in New Orleans at the time, so we went and got beignets together. we fought over the seat. That was what we first bonded over,
We fought
was
over
that
a chair.
both of us have to sit facing the exit. Like we can't sit with our back to a threat. So come to find out, her husband's a state trooper, mine was a Marine.
Okay.
So yeah,
I was
we were
gonna
just
ask. Yeah. Fair.
years trained to
We're
that.
never allowed to sit in those chairs as wives. So when we're out, it's like, that's
Where
Right.
are Yeah,
usually,
yeah.
usually our husbands are now my son takes that chair and I don't ever get to sit in it.
And then they're gone so much. I feel like they're always training you for what to do in
Yeah.
emergency situations. So I always felt like I was the most capable person if there was something, which is like hilarious because I'd probably be the first person to dive under a table. But like I have walked around with this
Listen,
inflated sense of what I could possibly
I
do.
got you. I watch so much true crime and listen to so many true crime podcasts, girl. I got you. I know what's happening.
Well, I watch a lot of female superhero movies. I am
Oh,
relying on
We're
those
we're
all
good.
skills.
good then. Yeah. I watch a lot of murder mysteries. So
Yeah. Hang out with us. You're well protected.
there we go. Okay.
So
So,
that's
yes.
how we met. I'll let Christina talk about how we bonded.
Yeah. So then, off and on, you're in the same circles, you're intermingling here and there, chit chatting, liking stuff on social, whatever. And then one day I just kind of posted out in one of the blogger groups. It's like, hey, I just came across this tool called Airtable. And I think I really love it. It's like a spreadsheet, a database had a baby. Does anybody use it? And a couple people had responded, and I'm like, I'd love to just everybody hop on a Zoom and let's talk about how we're using it and how we can make it work best for us, put our collective brains together. And Corinne hopped on that Zoom as well as a couple other people. And as everybody dropped off, it was just Corinne and I, and we're like, oh my God, we could do this. Oh, we could do that. We could do this. And when our brains got together, it was like they just clicked. And we found we had this shared interest, and then it just evolved from there.
Okay, that is so awesome. I love conferences were I feel like in my niche, they don't really happen anymore because my other website that I first started with is home decor and DIY. And so there was a few really big conferences for that. And those are still the people I'm most connected to, are the people that I met at these
Yeah.
conferences. There is something the online world is amazing and you can make connections, but I feel like there's just this little extra that goes with meeting someone in person, especially over a shared
Yeah.
interest, a shared sort of thing, right?
We're huge about the hotel lobby. I feel like
Yeah.
so many good things happen in hotel lobbies, right? We sit
Yeah.
there and that's where the walls come down and you're vulnerable and you're willing to share. Nobody's gatekeeping and the ideas just start flowing, and then you find out you have shared, personal interests, and the bonding happens. It's such a I think the most magical part of a conference, that when people come back from a conference and you say, oh, how was it? They're like, oh, I didn't learn anything from the sessions. I'm like, you totally didn't do that right then.
I know.
Because
It's
it
such
doesn't
a
come out of the sessions. The
no.
value comes out of everything else there.
Yeah, it's true. The one that I went to all the time was Haven in Atlanta, and they did breakout eventually. After a few years, they started doing sort of breakouts where you talked with people at your table, and that helped a bit. But
Yeah.
it was still the hotel lobby thing, right? Where you're sitting there and you're just waiting for the next session, or you're waiting to check in, or you're waiting for whatever. And it's so true. Those are such amazing connection points.
Yeah.
For sure.
I actually got scolded the last conference I was at for being out in the hotel lobby because
Goodness.
one of the speakers was coming on and everything, and I was having such a great conversation with somebody, and we were really digging into stuff, and then the the coordinator of the conference comes by. She goes, you girls need to move into the room and listen to the speaker. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, no, we're not doing that. This is too good right here. We've got some stuff going on.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, not to bash sessions or conferences,
No.
the formal parts at all, and I have learned a lot, especially as an early blogger, when you start doing things, there's so much to learn, but
Yeah.
I find that
Take advantage of the fringe moments because that's where the magic happens.
yeah, so much.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you guys indicated that you really wanted to talk about moving from overwhelm to focus, because I think that is something that we can all sort of identify with. There is so much to any online business, but I feel with blogging, it has become so much. When we started, whether you started as a hobby or whether you started it as a business, it was really simple back in, the early 2010, 2013. It was simple. I'm when I started, Instagram wasn't a thing. Pinterest wasn't a thing as far as I know, or it was a baby.
Yeah.
Like you had to be invited to go to
Yeah.
like to join Pinterest, right? Like, and so there is so much now, like so many platforms, so many resources, which is great. But what did overwhelm look like for you guys in your business, sort of before you figured this out, like this overwhelm to focus?
So for me, like I just always felt like I was behind. Like I remember early on, I had like an emotion I was experiencing, and I'm like, this is an old emotion. Like I haven't dealt with this for a long time. And when I like processed what it was the same sensation I had when I was in college, when you could not possibly be ahead. No matter whether you were caught up on assignments, there was always like an exam you should be studying for, or a project you could be working on to get a slightly better grade, or an assistantship that you should be applying for. Like just this never ending, no matter, there was no end to the to-do list. So always feeling like I was behind, which like over time, if you don't take care of that, becomes like this monk, like it just is this weight weighing down on you. It's very like very dragging, I guess. And like these long to-do lists where I would just be jumping from task to task, because the other thing that is like a product of what we do is there are so many different things we have to be good at. Like we've talked about this, it's such a delicate balance between like you've got to be really good at the content creation, you have to be good at social media, you have to understand SEO, right? Like there's so many aspects to what we do, and you've got to be changing hats. And the people that do things really well only focus on those things. Like that, that's one of the things from our podcast that we love. Like you get someone and they're really an Instagram genius, they spend so much time on Instagram.
Right.
And so like feeling like I had to be spending 8 hours a day on 20 different things, like the not knowing what the needle movers rule would be. So Christina says it all the time. Like we were really good at being busy, but not productive. Like that's Christina saying. And I think that for me, and every time I find myself back in that mode, I know that I've I've let the system slip.
Yeah. I'm a huge list maker too. So even like back in the day, like everything had like, and I still have some of those notebooks with those initial like to-do lists on them. And I look back at them sometimes and I laugh because they're so basic. But I'm a list maker, and sometimes that can overwhelm me when like I have all the different lists. You have your business list, your personal list, your kids list, your family list, your doctor, like all the lists. And it gets to be overwhelming, and you get to be consumed by them, that you feel like you just can never get ahead. I always describe it. In fact, I just got off another Zoom with a nonprofit that I'm aboard that I'm on. And I was telling somebody, I said, if you looked at my head right now, it's like a whirlwind going around. And sometimes I just reach up and grab something. It's like, okay, I'm going to work on this. And I don't even know what it is. I just open my hand, like, okay, that's what we're working on. But it's getting that together, and coming up with a strategy. Cause I also like to, I feel like I'm very strategic. This is one thing I've learned about when you turn 50, right? You get a lot of clarity about who you are and what's going on in the world around you. So if you're not 50 yet, just wait. It's freaking awesome.
I'm looking forward to that because it has been a disaster in my head for the
Oh,
last little while.
that to me, that has been the best part so far, is
Oh,
I've
I can't
gotten so
wait.
much clarity, and you can see things.
Yes.
I don't know what it is. But I found that I'm the kind of person that everything I look at, it doesn't matter what it is or where it is in my life, I look at it and go, there's a better way to do that. There's a more efficient, there's a better way to do that. I'm not being as smart as I can with the resources that I have. Like I volunteer at a fundraiser in our town, serving up hamburgers and stuff in the summer. And I look at the way the counter is laid out and go, there's a better way to do that. Like it's just the way my brain works. When I look at it, things get rearranged into other ways. So I try to, where I'm going with this, try to capture that and bring it to my business and say, okay, there's a better way to do this. I shouldn't be dealing with this whirling dervish spinning thing going on in my head.
Yeah.
True.
That used to make me crazy when Christina and I first started working together, because we'd spend all this time into like getting our Airtable base pinned down. The podcast one is actually probably a great example of this. Like we would organize it. We're like, okay, we understand the flow, and then like 3 months later, she'd be like, I'm gonna go in and just tweak a few things. Like she's constantly, but because well, one thing's change, right? Like so it does, but because her mind never does turn off that mode. There's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way. So no matter how good, like is good enough, like there are constant refinements to make it better. Like it is how her
And I confused the heck out of Corinne.
Now that I have embraced it, I love it and I appreciate it. Yeah, that was a learning point
I'm
for
into my
both.
kitchen. It's getting rearranged all the time. I'm always moving
Yeah.
stuff. My husband can never
Christina,
find
I'm
anything.
with you. I'm the same thing. Yeah. That's the way except I look at it as how can I break this down into step by step so it makes sense in an order that makes sense, right? Like that's, yeah. Yeah. That makes me laugh about the hamburgers too, because I serve at our church, like on guest services, and like
Hmm.
we do a potluck like every quarter. And I'm like, no, that doesn't go there.
Yeah.
It doesn't make
I'm
sense.
like,
Why would you
Order.
put that there?
we could be so much more efficient if the cheese was over here.
Right? Like you can't put the napkins there. Like that's just not like
Imagine
anyways.
the output we could have if we just made a couple systemic shifts here.
Yes.
But
It's
I'm
so
like,
true.
not my fundraiser. I'm just
Right.
here to
Right.
volunteer. This is
It's
not.
true. I'm like, I'm just standing here. Like yeah, it's
But
true. Was
it's
there like
funny, like when I was little, and I went to daycare, the one person that worked there, she goes, I came up to you and said, what are you doing? And she's like, I told her I'm sorganizing. I was sorting and so I like to make up words apparently too, but
yeah.
sorting and organizing. So even at like 3 years old, like it was just something that was
She's been
in,
wired like this from birth.
yes,
Yeah.
I came. And the funny thing is, neither of my parents were like that. So I don't know. I think it came as I had to
Out
be
of
the one to organize the
necessity.
family.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I am
Maybe.
the spreadsheet person.
Yeah. So was there like a turning point or was it just a general like there's like when you
Oh,
realized
for
you
me,
couldn't do
there
all the
was
things
one.
anymore?
A very distinct one.
Okay, what was
My
it?
same daughter who went to school that like kind of inspired me to get into blogging. Every
Yeah.
night we always ate dinner together as a family. So this was years later. We're at dinner and we always did like questions, right? Like so like and they were always different depending on whose night it was to ask the question, like very different questions. But that night the question was like about how you defined the different people at the family. And my youngest daughter came back and she was like, that I was a workaholic. Like, which is funny because in my mind, like my site, right, like is all about being a homemaker. Like, I
Yeah.
still define myself as a stay-at-home mom. I'm like, I took a job so that I could still stay at home. So in my, like, when I think about like my whole scope of existence, most of it is being like the PTA mom and volunteering in the classroom, like being so present for my kids. And here's my youngest daughter who's like, I barely see you because you're always tethered to your desk.
Oh man.
And that was a real wake up call because like I
Yeah.
had been hustling so hard, and I'm like, the whole point of picking this job was to be at home with my kids. And my
Mm.
child is telling me they never see me. Like even now, like I'm gonna get teary thinking about it. Like
Yeah.
it was a gut punch. So that was my wake up moment. Like something had to change.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Christina, did you have one or is it sort of just
Yeah, mine is not as definitive as Corinne's. Like I wish I could have pinpointed that moment, but
mm.
for me it's usually when I'm sitting in a corner just holding my knees and rocking. And I'm like, I can't go on like this. I can't, like I've had a couple of those moments. Like I only have one son, but he's involved in everything.
Okay.
I have a hard time saying no myself, which is why I'm the Sunday school teacher, the Cub Scout leader. I sit on two boards, like all the things. And I do. There are times when I just end up sitting in a corner and rocking, going, I can't. Like something has to give. And those are the moments when I allow myself my moment to completely and utterly break down, and it's okay because I got to get it out. But then it's like, all right, Chris, just stand up, get your whiteboard, and let's figure this out. Like, let's organize it. And I just let my brain do what my brain does. And I get the whiteboard out and I just start. It usually involves whiteboards, post-it notes, a giant wall, like all these things. And I just get it out of here and get
Yeah.
it onto something. And
Yeah.
then I can start manipulating and organizing and seeing where the patterns are.
Yeah. 100%. That's wow. So Corinne, like that's yikes. Like that
Yeah.
would be like a hard thing to hear from
Yeah.
your kiddo, especially and I identify with that a bit though because like that was the point of me staying home too, but then there were times where I'm like no, I have this giant thing I have to work on,
Right.
or like, used to work with brands, so we did like big projects around the house like renos and stuff, and I'm like, no, dad and I have to finish this, like we have a deadline. Like
Right.
And then, yeah, Christina, like the giant whiteboards, I'm staring. I have two in my office. I was telling Corinne before we started, I'm like, I have two giant whiteboards to get that stuff out. And post-it notes are one of my favorite ways to do things too. I actually, before my office was down here, my first course was created and my first book was written with post-it notes on the upstairs sliding glass window doors because
Yeah.
that's where there was enough space to stick them. So
Yeah.
yeah, like I totally get that. Okay, so you both teach then sort of practical tools to get through that stuff. Like, can you share a couple of those sort of tricks or tools that make the biggest difference for you guys personally? And then we can sort of talk about, if you want, like how you teach that to your people too.
So I guess one of the tools that revolutionized the way I run my business is Airtable. I mentioned that. And for those of you that don't know, it's a platform that's kind of like a spreadsheet in a database had a baby. So you can look at it from a spreadsheet perspective with rows and columns, but now they've built in features called interfaces, which looks more app-like. So it's a more graphical representation of your data. But when I learned and figured out how to corral all of my business data into one place, it eliminated all of that frustration I was feeling with, okay, I need, what are my brand colors? Oh, is that in Apple Notes? Is that in Google Docs? Is that written in a notebook? Like, what is my EIN? What is the blog post I was thinking about doing last week? Where is all my content? What did I share on Pinterest last? I was able to get all of that into one place. So I have one thing. Well, I like to say one thing open, but Corinne knows I probably have 82 tabs open right now. Um, but it's all in one place, and I
Okay.
can go to one place to find everything. And just knowing I had that was such a huge relief for me because it really brought it all together.
Mm-hmm.
So that
Yeah.
tool, understanding what that tool is. So it might be for you, it might be, a Google Sheet, it might be Trello, it might be Asana, whatever that tool is, you have to find what that tool is that works with the way your brain works. There are ones that just, my brain does not work in a certain way.
It's
I,
yeah, no, fair.
I am not a Kanban brain. I do not have sliding, even though I like Post-it notes, I do not have a Kanban brain. And
Mm,
so that just doesn't work for me. But you need to find what works for you.
Yeah.
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 And then mine is more like, so the reason we bonded over Airtable, like we were both falling in love with it at the same time. I think we had both just tried ClickUp too and realized
Yeah.
like this is where we realized we thought a lot alike because both of us just could not wrap our head around that. And I know people that love it. So this is like, again, no condemnation or like proclamation that one tool is better than the other. It just has to be
Right.
how your brain works. But for
Yeah.
me, like one of the reasons I loved Airtable, and then this ties to like how, like, every productivity I've had since then is I realized what I loved about it was I could clear away visual clutter. I
Hmm.
am so easily distracted and I'm so
Mm,
easily overwhelmed. I'm very visual. So like if I'm looking at something but there's too much to look at, it's very hard for me to figure out where to focus. So I liked that in Airtable, I could create a view for a very specific purpose. Right, like which post do I need to assign to a writer? And I could just go to that view and only the fields I needed to see to do that task were there. And then that tip has just applied everywhere else in my existence since then. So like creating like just anywhere I can eliminate decision fatigue or visual clutter. So like we were talking about it earlier, like I schedule all of our meetings, or all of my meetings are on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So sorry for everybody that wants to do Wednesday meetings. Like I block those off for like work time
She doesn't even
because
let me in there.
every once in a while.
I have to beg for Wednesday slot.
But I am an introvert and I truly
yeah.
need like so anytime, even if it's like this, like a Zoom, I need to prepare mentally for that. Like energy wise, it's draining. So now I know I only have to do that 2 days a week as opposed to when meetings could trickle in throughout. And then like I'm a morning, Christina knows I'm a morning person. I may or may not have woken her up too many times, like
By
bouncing on the
jumping on the
hotel
bed.
bed. Yeah. It only was once, but let's see, we've really exaggerated that story. But yes, I'm a morning person. I have a morning brain. I do my best work in the morning. So on my work days, like the morning is my deep work, and then I do the busy work, where like I have those tasks. But like just being aware of like your own psychology, I guess, like what you need. I do the 5-minute rule trick, like with myself, which I borrowed from how I run, because I like to think I'm a runner, like I'm a jogger, like it's what I like to do for exercise. But a lot of times I don't want to jog, and I'll be like,
Mm,
okay, just go out and just do 5 minutes. Commit to like 5 minutes, just a 1 mile run. I don't do a mile in 5 minutes, in 5 minutes, but like a 1 mile run. Go out,
mhm.
do it. And I've never run just a mile. Like I
Right.
always run far, like because the hard part is getting out the door. So I do it with work. Okay, I don't want to do this task. You only have to do 5 minutes or 10
Hmm.
minutes or 15 minutes. And usually by the time you've gotten over the hurdle of opening it up and starting it, then you're in. So,
Hmm.
yeah, those are the sorts of things, like the little productivity tricks, I guess I do, like to keep me on target and
Yeah.
me working the way I need to.
I love that a lot of like for both of you, it depends on like your personality, right? Like you need to know how you best work, how you best function, be that with the tools or your timing. When I first started this podcast, I sort of had open like schedule whenever you needed to schedule like to record the podcast. And after a couple of weeks of that, I was like, oh heck no, I can't do
That's
this. Like
hard.
I am, it's a
Yeah.
lot, and I am not like I've done. Anyways, I'm an introvert too, and it takes time. And I mean, it's the hair, it's the makeup, it's the putting on a blouse instead of a hoodie, it's the
Yeah.
like for me that's so like you need to know yourself for your time and for your tools. Like that's kind of what I'm hearing a little bit.
And you
Um,
have to know, I think what's important is you can't try to shove yourself into somebody else's
Yeah.
system,
yeah.
right? Like what works for you or for me may
Hmm.
not work for the listener, right? I love Airtable. That's how my brain works. Your brain may not work that way, and that's okay. The thing is to realize that you need the system and to figure out the system. Before landing on Airtable, I tried everything,
Hmm.
all of the things. I tested
Mhm.
them, I tried them, and I'm not just for like a day or an hour. Like I tried it for pretty much like a month or so to try to make it work. And if I found I was working too hard to make it work, it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
it's understanding where your frustrations and your friction points are.
And again, this
Yeah.
goes back to what we love about the hotel lobby. It's what I love about a good mastermind
Hmm.
group. It's what I love about, podcasts, either being on other people's or having people on ours, is that every time you talk with someone else, they've got a different perspective and they're using things in a different way. And it just open, like you don't have to do it that way, but it introduces you to a new, like it's a new lens on looking at
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, which speaks to another part of, we're entrepreneurs who have businesses online, so we're at home on our own a lot. So those connections really matter so that you're not sort of
Yeah.
isolated and seeing things only through like your tiny little lens, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And being
Yeah.
on Zoom is great, right? This is
Yeah.
great where we can connect here, but you can't make that connection you get in
It's
person.
different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like Corinne and I, we are so much more productive when we're holed up together in a hotel room and like feeding off of each other's energy or lack thereof. We can, mimosas help, but we can
Mimosas help.
also, we, we learned at one event that we are very productive when there's bottomless mimosas involved.
Okay. I guess so. All the creative things
That was
going.
my takeaway from it, but it was much more fun to do our work that
Much more
day.
fun. There you go.
Yeah. We also do the hotel wall that's just covered in post-it notes. We get the giant post-it notes. Like,
Mm.
yeah, you and Christina have a lot of overlap in how you guys work. So, yeah, we do a lot of that.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so this sort of piggybacks off what I said, but also not. But like you talk about like systems and how they have a big impact on things. Like, but we also touched on the fact, so this question doesn't account for that as like as I wrote it down, but we also touched on the fact that you have to find a system that works for you. So like what is one thing that our listeners like could try? Like maybe not a tool, but like how could they figure out what systems work for them, I guess.
So I've got a couple ideas here, like simple
Yeah.
things. So because
Yeah.
I'm a simple girl. Like the big one for me that was super easy was, and people talk about it like it's not revolutionary, but the daily top three, right? Like that is a key part of my day. And I think if you actually practice that, if you actually get up each day or every day before you finish, right? Like if you write down what it is you want to work on tomorrow, like to be super clear on those three things, and like it forces you to focus on your needle movers. It forces you to think about where you're going to be productive and not busy. Like that is something anyone can do, right? Like, and as you do that, to figure out like if that works for you, right? Like maybe you don't want to do 3 for the day. Maybe you need to have it for the week. But like I try, like what I do now is essentially time blocking. But every time time blocking was taught to me before, I hated it because I resent having
Mhm.
each hour accounted
Me
for. Like
too.
I did not want to be pigeonholed into that. Yeah, I always joke that I'm a Gemini and I've got two twins battling. One of the twins really resists that, right? Like, but what I do now is essentially time blocking, right? Like I've blocked off Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I've got morning time for this and afternoon time. But so try it. Try the like writing down your priorities and actually sticking to it. Like keeping it on a post-it note. Like, is this like, am I straying from that? This shiny object I'm chasing, is it actually related to one of these? Does it replace one of these? Because I do see it as a big needle mover. But that act alone is going to force you to do what Christine and I always talk about, triage, right? Triage
Mhm.
that list. Like
Right.
Yeah.
we are doing way too many things that don't actually have to get done.
Yeah.
Right.
We are
A
like a
lot.
hospital ER, right? When you come in, you are, from the minute you set foot in there, you are triaged as to how serious things are. And I feel like I do that with now everything in my life. It's just second nature because I've done it for so long. And I look at it and I figure out which bucket it needs to go in. Is it on fire? Like how big is the fire
Yeah.
that needs to
Mhm.
get put out?
And then the
Yeah.
other thing that I think that people don't do enough of, like they like it in theory, but then just don't execute, is automation. Like once you've
Mm.
triaged, like there are some things that have to stay on the list, but not every, like we get into this trick of thinking we either have to do it ourselves or we have to find someone else that's really qualified to outsource it to. There are so many things that we can do that can be automated or at least templated, so it's almost
Mhm.
automated,
Yeah.
or it makes it easier to hand off, things like something like auto replies in your emails, or having like a delivery, like an FAQ for like your common problems that you attach in every delivery email. Like there are so many things in our day-to-day business life that can be templated, automated, and get it off of our list. Like, yes, it's important, right? Like, not everything's going to get scratched off that list, but not everything has to be us putting in real time on it in the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could look at those friction points and find out what they are and how you can systematize that. Well, I have two other ways that I've kind of done this that are totally different because when you were
Do
talking, Corinne,
share.
I'm writing mine down and I'm like, oh, I wonder if she's going to cover mine.
Do share.
Yeah, I know. So, number one is I'm a big fan of a CEO day. And I've
Mm.
built this into my calendar. I do mine on Fridays, and I have two different types of CEO days depending on which week it is in the month. But these are the days where I work on my business, not in my business. And I think that's a huge distinction to make. So much of our time is often spent in the business, in the weeds, publishing the posts, scheduling the social, blah, 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 blah. On those days, I don't do any of that. I work on my business. I'm looking at the finances. I'm looking at promotions. I'm looking at how traffic is coming. I'm digging into those reports. I'm doing like sites, like that kind of stuff that's really moving it forward that we don't often make time for. It sits on the to-do list and gets carried over month to month to month. Maybe I have to find insurance, or I really want to create an SOP to hire somebody. That's when I do that. And I spend the time working on my business.
Mm.
That's been huge. And I have like my regular weekly one that I do like weeks 1, 2, and 3. And then week 4, I have a bigger, more encompassing of things that I only have to do like once a month. And that's when I do those. And I have it, set up and all written down so I can go through and I don't ever forget because SOPs are huge. So that was that was a big aha moment for me, was coming up with the
Mhm.
CEO day.
Mhm.
The other one was figuring out how I worked and how my brain worked. And like, I said, age is great and clarity, a lot comes with it, but sometimes we can't see the forest through our own trees, right? We know, like, we're stuck in our ways. So the one night I was so frustrated with the way things were going, I felt out of control. I literally sat down with ChatGPT, who I dubbed Donna from Suits, because everybody needs a Donna in their life.
Yes.
So Donna and I had a very frank conversation, and I was sitting at my dining room table and I'm just telling her, I'm like, all right, listen, here's how I currently manage all the things that are going on, right? I like to write things. I do like to write on paper. Choosing my color pen in the morning is a thing I like to do. I love a good notebook. So I do like to write, But the writing and carrying things over week after week, and it gets frustrating. Things get lost. I have 5 notebooks sitting on my desk, random scraps of paper. I like digital calendars. I like this tool. Sometimes I use my Apple Notes. Sometimes I do and I don't even think I put punctuation in this. I literally word vomited everything into her. I just, this is what I do. This is what's working. This is what's not working. Maybe I want to try something else. I was looking at this, but I don't know. Literally just like that.
Yeah.
No clarity whatsoever. And then I'm like, tell me what to do. And she came back with some stuff and then some questions. I'm like, ask me questions. She came back with some questions. I answered them. And after maybe like a 5-10 minute back and forth, there was a system. I'm like, oh my gosh, I never would have thought to cobble together the pieces the way she did. And for me, it is probably the only system that I have stuck with for an extended period of time, because I'm a bouncer too. Like when things don't work, I'm out. And I have stuck with this for months and months and months, and it works for me.
That's awesome.
Because it works the way my brain works. I just had to get to what that was.
Right. And I think chat is really, really good for doing that sort of thing, right? Like taking that, because I'll sit there with my coffee in the morning and be like, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's in there, right?
Yeah. And I told him, and tell me, am I making this too complicated?
Right.
And she's like, well, yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
But here's how we can, and I'm like, it's okay to tell me I'm wrong. Like, you don't have to give me all the happy stuff all the time. I'm a big girl.
Like, you're doing great. You're doing great.
Yeah.
Good job.
I could take it from my robot. You can give it to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had to, actually see where it was and be open with myself and then give that a try. And I didn't use it verbatim. I did tweak a couple little things. I wasn't into all the hokey frou-frou things that she put in there, but I made it work for me.
Right.
And it is, like I said, it is a system that has stuck with me for months. And my 15 notebooks, I have one, things are working with the tools that I can use.
Right.
That I feel comfortable with.
Right. That's really good. That's so helpful. So, okay, so now this one. A lot of us,
I love that,
wrestle with perfectionism, right? We just do. We always have so much to do, but we always think, but if I can do it perfect, awesome. So how do you sort of coach people towards progress over perfection sort of mindset and yourselves versus that let's go for perfection? Because progress always trumps perfection, in my opinion, even though I'm a perfectionist too.
Can I go first?
Yes, absolutely.
This is on my computer all the time. Done is better than perfect. It sits right in front of me every day, all day, because I am a perfectionist. And I have to physically tell myself done is better than perfect because perfect never gets done. So it's okay to send out that email that isn't perfectly perfect, because sometimes the data you get back from the imperfect will make your perfect even perfecter. Does that make sense? Right?
It does.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? So if you're doing something incorrect, because it points out some gaps and some holes, and you can then tweak and make it even better than what you thought the first time. But yeah, you have to get out of that. It has to be perfect and just let it go.
Yeah. Because that can be paralyzing, right? Like you said, because perfect never gets done. We'll just keep going, well, if I tweak it and tweak it and tweak it and tweak it, eventually it'll get to perfect, and then I can launch it, or then I can whatever. But that is not true.
No, and that's one thing we see in our group coaching program all the time is people are paralyzed by the perfection. That perfection paralysis is, you're like, oh, I can't. It's such a big project. I just can't tell. Like cleaning out the junk drawer, right? In your mind, this is like an all-day affair, cleaning out the junk drawer. Whereas when you just sit down and start doing it, oh, that only took...
I'll beep it out.
Christina.
I'm making myself a note to beep it out.
It's like, oh, look at that. It only took me 10 minutes to clean out the junk drawer.
It's true. It's okay. It's all good. Yeah.
So I've got two different ones that depending on what personality is reigning at the time, I can trigger. So I am a competitive person. I think we're all a lot of us are very type A. So I'm competitive. And someone once said to me, you think you're going for perfection, and that's just another word for procrastination. So
Mm.
so that to me is one of the things that's on my desktop, that's perfection equals procrastination.
Yeah.
And again, like we've talked about it, like my product does not make money until it leaves my, until it leaves my files and gets put somewhere. So like the part of me that's competitive, that wants to say that I'm working towards something, I'm building something, like as soon as I'm like, oh, you're just procrastinating, like it's almost like I'm calling myself, like, like calling myself a bad name. Like I don't like that association in my brain
Mm.
of being a procrastinator. And so like that doesn't always work, because one of the twins doesn't care about being a procrastinator. So for her, I draw inspiration. My father-in-law came up with this. I cannot take credit for it, but I loved it, and I have held on to this, and it's super helpful. When he retired, like kind of became this isn't the good part of the story, but he kind of started acting like a jerk. Like, and a lot of us were complaining. We're like, what is with this new attitude? And he's like, well, this is Dave V2. Like, 'cause he was a software engineer. So he had updated the software, and this was a new version. We're like, can we get to 2.3 or like version 3? Right? But that version mindset helps me, because like it's that philosophy of like your mistakes don't define you, right? Like your mistake doesn't
Mm.
mean you're a bad person. If you do something wrong today, it doesn't mean you're always wrong. It means you made a mistake that you can learn from. So like that version mindset of like
Mm.
moving forward, that this is okay, this is just the version I am today, and it's a little bit better than the one before. And if I just go find a couple things that will move me past whatever my hurdle is now, I'm at a better version, right? Like,
Mm.
so that like I don't need to be perfect. Like the software doesn't get perfect. It's always improving.
Like my
Um,
Airtable.
yeah, like Airtable.
That though, think about how many things would not never be around if somebody didn't fail. Like so
Yeah.
many great things in our world. Like look at Facebook. It
Mm.
didn't end up being the product it started out to be. Right? So sometimes you have to look, and I wouldn't necessarily say that's a failure, but the failure, and it's okay to
The
fail. It's
pivot.
yeah, it
Yeah.
teaches you so many things. And I think that's one of the things, like while I'm afraid of failing, I don't like that word. I'm also not afraid to throw spaghetti against the wall and see what's going to stick.
Mm.
And I like to say like I'm an idea person. Like you have a problem, come see me. I'll give you 15 ideas
Right.
because something in there is going to work for you. And it's a matter of finding out what that is, and you have to be willing to pivot like you said, and you have to be willing to try things. If you're too paralyzed in the planning, you're never going to move forward.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Yeah, I love that. I love that. I like I don't like it, but done is better than perfect. Perfect equals procrastination, because that is, people get paralyzed. I get
Well,
paralyzed.
and
The
you
same
always
thing.
come back to 80/20 on that, right? Like, so you can get to 100%, but it is such a colossal waste of time. Like,
Yeah.
80% is good enough. And
Yeah.
like, I don't know,
Yeah.
only takes 20% of the
Yep.
time to get there.
I mean,
Yeah.
Corinne, you even brought that up years ago when I had asked you, like, we were just, spitballing off each other. And I'm like, oh, I have all these posts that I've updated and I'm dripping them out one at a time. And you're like, just put them all out there. She
Yeah.
said, why are you sitting on this stuff? Just put it out there. Like, nobody knows. Like,
Yeah.
in our minds, we have it built up that everybody knows all of our systems and they're
Yeah.
watching our calendars and they're tracking everything and nobody freaking cares.
No, they have
They
their own
don't
stuff to
care.
care about. Yeah.
Yeah, they're
No.
worried about their own stuff. They're just seeing the end product.
Yeah. And even
And
then, not all of it, as
not
things
all of
are
it.
right now, right? Like,
And they
yeah.
don't care about the thing that we've obsessed over, the little
Mm.
font color or, little things like that. They don't care about.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true. So I feel like in this sort of world, running a business sort of as a duo is kind of unique. Like, how do you guys divide roles and so play to your strengths for Smart Influencer? Like, because obviously you each have your own things, but then together, how do you make that work?
Go, governor.
She was making fun because we had to fill in something the other day, and we both had to be assigned governor, and then we needed a president and a vice president.
Oh,
She's
goodness.
like, which do you want to be? I'm like, vice president. Of course, she's like, no, that's not, you're president.
So now I call her president governor.
Yeah,
And we
she
have
is
to make
not
motions for
president governor.
everything.
Oh my goodness. Shoot me now.
We where there are clear delineations, like where I like doing something more than she likes or vice versa, like that makes it easy. A lot of times, Christina and I have discovered, like we joke about this all the time about how a lot of times we start at the same place and end at the same place, but we take completely different routes to get there. So, like when we are building new products, that is typically what we do. We build it independent of each other, and then we bring our final product and be like, okay, let's take the best of each. Plus, we feel like it incorporates, because again, right, like it's part of our philosophy. Everybody like does things differently, so we're trying to get as much of that as we can with just two people, right? Like of
Right.
how someone might do something differently. So, like our Pinterest system was a good, like the Pinterest system that we've got in Smart Influencer is a marriage of our two systems because we
Okay.
both did that very differently. Even though we were both live pinning, right? Like we were both doing manual pinning every day and outsourcing it to our VA. Like the systems we built were different.
Mm,
So I think so sometimes we work concurrently. That's maybe not efficient, but I think we get better results. Like a more comprehensive result. And then
right. Yeah.
other times, like I love writing email. So anytime there's an email task, I raise my hand for that one.
Okay.
Somehow I think that
So
somehow
when
I
you get
think
an
that got
email from
Christina
us,
put on sales pages, which I hate doing, but I don't think she likes either. So,
I don't like it.
but you're
Aw.
so good at it.
Yeah, zip it.
Oh man.
It is.
That's
It's one of
awesome
those
though.
things. It's like I think over the years we've found our rhythm, but it's
Hmm.
figuring out that expertise and knowing how we each work because we're very different. Even when we're in Airtable, I work in interfaces, she works in the grid view. Like there's just it's
Right.
very different, but that's
Right.
okay. Like
Yeah.
she doesn't have to be you have to understand like if when you're working with a partner, they don't have to be the carbon copy of you. It's probably better if they're
Right.
not. You're
Yeah.
Yeah.
you're you're covering more ground and you're more efficient
Yeah.
if you both have different areas of expertise.
I will say a key component though, because we've been asked this a couple times, and I think the thing that makes it work because we've both had stressful lives in our own way, right? Like everybody does, right? Like I'm not claiming ours are any harder than anyone else's, but you've got personal stressors, you've got work stressors. We're both running our own businesses on top of this one. And I think the reason we're able to do that without any resentment ever is I feel like we're really good at communication.
Yeah.
And when we're
Mm.
being bad at communication, we call ourselves out for being bad on communication, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, I think that you're mad at me, but I don't know why, right? Like, can you just tell
We
me so
do,
we can fix it?
as
Right.
women do.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it is super important. Like, if you are going to have any type of partnership or in any relationship,
Yeah.
like it's just that is the thing that makes it much easier. You can if you've got good communication and you're willing to communicate what you're thinking and feeling, like then you can get to a resolution. And I think also because our goal has always been the same. And again, I do call her my work wife sometimes. So it's like a marriage,
Yeah.
and
That's what I
that
was thinking. Yeah.
yeah, you're not arguing with each other. You're arguing against a situation to find
Hmm.
because the goal is the same. We want the
Right.
partnership to work. We
Yeah.
want the business to work.
It's like I'm not
So,
mad at you. I'm frustrated with whatever it is that's our hurdle at the
right,
moment. Or it could
right,
be something that she's not even seeing. It could be something I'm dealing with personally, that she's not seeing. So
Right.
it's
right.
understanding that too. But communication is definitely 99.98% of it.
Yeah.
Communication and commitment to it working. Like it
Right.
is literally just like a
Yes.
marriage. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you think about it too, you have to know how to pick your battles, right? Like there's certain things that she feels passionate about, and I have to realize I don't have to go down on that stand, right? I can let her, if that's what she wants to do and run with it, go for it. And it's hard as type A. We're dominant personalities. We're the ones wearing the pants in our families, and my husband likes to think he does, but let's be honest.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to sometimes let that go, but like it's a
Hmm.
conversation you have to have with yourself that it's okay, like she can
Hmm.
bring if she wants to make this work, that's fine. We'll go with that, and then she'll give me that grace when I have something I'm very passionate about that she may not feel as passionately
We
about.
do have a lot of those conversations, like, or how much do you care?
Yeah,
We'll
we
do
ask that
that a
all the time.
lot. Like we'll be arguing about, like, say a font, right? Like we'll make it something simple. Say a font, and I'll be like, okay, I don't love the font that you've chosen, but I care like zero. So like we're not going to
Right.
argue. I'm willing to let this one
Yeah.
go.
Right. Right.
If you
It
care
sounds a
five,
lot
that's
like
more than I
marriage.
care.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's fair. And that feels like you've sort of gotten a good groove with that. And I think communication, yeah, and communication and commitment to like the end goal,
I really
all
think that's it. Like
relationships,
it's not a
business.
complicated formula, but those are the
Yeah,
No.
two necessities.
yeah, yeah, for sure. So, okay, so this is a little bit, we've sort of covered this, but maybe in a different wording. So when someone is sort of stuck in the cycle of doing all the things, where do you suggest they start? You said the three things. So I feel like this is sort of a duplicate question a little bit, but is there anything else that comes to mind when someone's like fully in
It's
the I'm overwhelmed?
It's funny you say that you think that we covered it because Christine and I, when we read through your questions before, both of us answered this exactly the same. And I think we may have said a variation of it earlier in
Yeah.
this talk, but yeah, it had the same. I'll let you, Christine, I feel like you are much more concise, so I will let you describe it.
Well, it's triaging. It's brain dumping
Right.
everything, right?
Yes.
Get it out of your head because right
Yeah.
there, it's just twirling, twirling, twirling. You're waking up in the middle of the night. You're in the shower. Like it's coming
Mhm.
at you and like things just firing at you or that whirlwind is going on in your brain. Get it down somewhere, get it out, and then triage, right? Look at it and say, what is moving my needle in my business? What is
Well,
actually, go
go
ahead.
ahead, sorry.
No, I'm like, what is actually pushing my business forward and figuring that out? What am I doing that get rid of what's making you busy and not,
Mhm.
focus on what's making you productive?
And I'd say, like, before all of that, like the very first thing, and this is the part, I only say it like it's obvious, but then it's kind of not. Like when you are in the throes of like feeling overwhelmed, like that is when you feel like the to-do list is a mile long, that you are behind. The last thing you want to do is slow down, but that is absolutely step
Yes.
one is you stop.
Stop.
Yes.
You stop. Like it doesn't make sense. It's kind of like if you're stuck in a traffic jam, you can spend 2 hours being mad on the interstate, or you can get off and have a meal and clear your head and then come back and have a joyful ride, right? Like maybe if you think of it like that, but you have to stop first. And then, yeah, do the brain dump, get it all out of your head in one place. So it's not, I, so I was raised I'm going on a tangent, but I promise it's going
It's
somewhere.
okay.
I
Tangents
was
are good.
raised as a Catholic and I never understood confession. Like that just
Mm.
seems so silly to me. I'm like, can't we just be like other religions and just talk directly, like in my sleep or in bed and like clear it up, square up with the big man, one on one. And for whatever reason, I didn't go through confirmation the way that I was supposed to when I was like a child. So later in life, I'm like, okay, we're making our kids go to these classes. I should probably like be a card carrying Catholic. So I did. I went to the classes and I had to go to confession as a 40-year-old woman, right? Like I walked in
Mm.
to confession. There is something very different about verbalizing. Like every person we've ever talked to that said mindset, that you have to actually go in the mirror. You can't just think the thoughts, I'm strong, I'm confident. You have to say it. There is something about verbalizing to someone else, right? Like that this is what I'm going to do. And I think that's the same thing when you brain dump. Like we think we're processing it all up here, but there's something about getting, and I know it's not speaking it, but writing it out and getting it on paper that
Mhm.
makes it lose its power,
Mm.
right? Like all of
Mhm.
a sudden it doesn't have this hold on you. You look at it, you see it, you can put it on sticky notes and throw some of them away. Like
Mm.
very, very, and I know we talked about different people using whatever system works for them. So maybe it's not a giant list. Maybe it's speaking it into like an audio recording. Like whatever it is, it has to be some actual like transactional thing where it leaves your system. And I think there's great power in that in terms of actually
Yeah.
letting you let go of some of the things that you don't need to be doing.
Well, I think it's like when you see those things, right, stacked up against the other things, you start there's a clear delineation as to where you should be spending your time. And you're like, oh, like in my brain, this was on fire right now.
Right.
Yeah, this was super duper important. But now when I
Mhm.
see that compared to all the other things that were in my brain, I'm like, oh yeah, that could be bottom of the list. Like that doesn't really need to be there. And one thing I've always said is you are never wasting time because everybody's like, oh, I don't have time to sit and plan. I don't have time to take a planning day. I don't.
Mhm.
There, you never waste time planning and organizing. It is time that is not wasted in your life. If you take
Mhm.
a half a day, an hour, and
Mhm.
spend that time strategizing and planning and getting organized, I guarantee you that will come back tenfold.
Yeah.
Now, you
Yeah,
can't
I
do it
think
while watching The Real Housewives. Like, you really have to be all in.
that's a different kind of
Yeah, that's
rest
a different
break,
kind of
whatever.
procrastination. But
I think that's super important because I feel like as entrepreneurs, we're sort of doers, right? Like,
yeah,
let's get this done, let's get this done. And it is really, really difficult to go stop. Like, I may be checking things off a list, but they're probably not the things I should be doing. And my brain is spinning. And that stop, I think, is super hard to do, but like super, super important. And you do have to like either speak it out loud or write it down, get it out of your head because there's just this when everything's in your head, it's so easy to be well, to deceive ourselves or to like
Right.
just think, like you said, that something is more important than it actually is in the whole scheme of everything. And getting it out, either speaking it or writing it out, like that is a huge, huge, huge thing. I mean, that's why I keep lists so I don't have to hold on to it in my head. I
yeah,
always joke, like I watch these, like, so I have a couple of books and I watch these authors like quote like from XYZ page in my book and blah blah blah. I'm like, no, I wrote it down so it's not up here anymore. Like
yeah.
Right.
I have to refer to my own book. Like I know what I know, but if you want like a specific, it's out of my head now because I've written it down.
Right.
And that creates so much more space, I think, for being creative, for doing the next thing, for doing the things that are necessary, right? So the stop and get it out of your head is like huge and super important. I
Think
100%
so
agree
too.
with that, like
And
so
at
much.
that point, there's so many different ways you can do it. You can take a pen and color code them,
Yep.
like, important versus not important. You can Eisenhower matrix it. Like, that's where you take your brain, right? Like, the way your brain
Mhm.
works and plop it into the system that lets you triage. But I think that step of stopping and getting it out, like, is anything, that works for anyone.
But if you're sitting there saying, oh, I already have lists, like I'm a great list maker. I have lists
Yeah.
on this and this. I think even then, like, because I got overwhelmed. I'm a list person. I have lists everywhere.
Mhm.
I have the list
Mhm.
apps. I've got, digital paper, all the things, all the little sticky
Mhm.
notes, color coded. It can still get overwhelming. I think the trick is to bring it all together and to look at it all as one big picture because that's when it starts to make sense and they start to kind of triage themselves and you can
Yeah.
see where everything stacks up when compared to everything else. So yeah, even if you are a multiple list maker, you're not done yet.
Yeah.
Like you can still get
Especially if
very
you're
overwhelmed.
feeling frazzled and overwhelmed,
Mm-hmm. Get it
right?
all
Like
in
we're
one place. Bring all the
yeah.
lists together.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So, okay, so we talked about the actions of doing that, so stopping and making lists, but like what's one mindset shift that can help an overwhelmed entrepreneur breathe easier today, right? Cuz that's an action, but like a lot of stuff happens in our brains too. So like what's one mindset shift that can help us do better, breathe easier?
So the thing that was always hard for me, like, it's still hard for me. Like, I have a really hard time saying no, right? Especially since we
Mm,
always think we can do something better. I'm like, oh yeah, well, I think you could do this better. Sure, I'll come in and fix it because I don't want to be the person that's just telling you how to do stuff, right? Um,
We
so
enable each other a lot.
we do.
mm.
So the mindset shift that works there doesn't, like, you got to really work it. I'm not great at my affirmations, but that saying
Mm,
no to one thing is saying yes to something better, right? Like,
mhm.
so saying no isn't saying no. It's still a yes, but now you've got yes for something that was more important in your life.
Yeah.
So I think as long as, like, for those that have problems saying no, just think of the yes that you have, like, created because you said no.
Right. That might be so much better.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I will say to build on that, saying no doesn't mean no, not ever. It means no, not
Mm,
now.
mhm.
Right? So you can still have that on your list that maybe, in 12 weeks we're going to revisit that. But right now, this isn't the priority for me. I
Right.
have other priorities.
Yeah.
My mindset shift is getting out of my own head because I feel like I can handle everything up here. Like I'm like, I feel like I got it together. There's days when I feel like the perimenopause brain is, going full throttle. Like there's a fog machine up there and people are flipping
Yeah.
switches. But I feel like I've got it together, pretty good. But I would keep everything to myself, and be like, okay, here's my to-do list. I think when you find somebody who can hold you accountable, it really that was the big needle mover for me because I don't hold myself account. I have zero willpower. Zero willpower. But I also don't like to fail. or to not meet a goal. So if I tell you I'm going to do XYZ, you can bet your butt that 2 minutes before we get on that call, I am finalizing XYZ because I may not have done it all week, but I got it done before we
Yeah.
met to do it. So for
Yeah.
me, finding that accountability and knowing that, understanding that I don't have to do it all in my head myself. I can lean on other people. That was huge.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. It's true because we're very capable.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm like, oh, I
Yeah.
got this. I can hold myself
Yes.
accountable for this. I got my list. It's on my list.
I've got
I
my
got the
list.
list.
It's true.
I skip over it every week, but it's on my list
Yes. It gets rewritten out every single week.
in a different color pen, whatever I
That's
was feeling in the
right.
mood for.
It's
It's
hilarious.
pretty, but it's
It is
still there.
pretty. Still, yes. Yeah, I get that an awful lot. So let me make sure I've got this right. So you guys have a 12-week power plan and goal crusher group coaching. Yes?
Yes.
We got those right? Okay. So how do those tie into sort of what we've been talking about today? Is that too
So
big of a
the
question?
power plan is like our version of like, because we're both big fans of the 12-week year, but like you can stay super focused on those goals. Like we both do annual goals still too, but like it's really hard to stay laser focused on an annual goal for 12 whole months. So like we're big believers in 12-week plans. And so the 12-week power plan is if you are like you just need direction, right? Like you need to know what to focus on. Like we force you in that process to triage and tell us the one thing, like what is your goal, so that we can create the plan with the action steps that will get you there in the 12 weeks. And then the group coaching throws in all the other things that we love about like, about what we do and what, like both of us need accountability. So it's the accountability, it's the little bit of mentorship to help you get over those hurdles. Like if you're stuck, they function too as a mastermind. Like all of our groups have tended to be like a good mix of people. So you're getting so many different perspectives, so many different lenses on the problem that you're facing. So
Yeah.
I get like, so to me, like they're so much more powerful. But like, if you don't have the time for that, or you can't make the schedule, the power plan is a great place to get started to give you the focus.
Hmm. And then we kind of have the hybrid in there of like a power session. So if you want to do the plan, but you want a little bit of the one-on-one, we can book like a one-on-one call to kind of help you figure that out, get you set up for managing it, yourself. You don't get that, weekly touch base, but
Right.
you still get the guidance and support that you would need to kind of take those first steps and get yourself moving.
Yeah. Okay. That's awesome. So, what is exciting you guys most about the next season of the Smart Info?
Oh, we just had a call today.
We did.
I always get excited.
We
Can
did.
you share?
Um, can I tell her a big thing that's coming up? We haven't even announced it on our podcast yet. We've been hinting at it with all of our mastermind groups. So we're hosting a summit in the spring.
Yes.
So that's like a big thing. We're super excited to do our own in-person thing and bring that.
Did you
Have
get
our own.
how she asked me if she could say that, but she didn't wait for the answer? She just went
She
for
didn't
it.
wait for
I read your facial expression. I can see you. I can see you.
Maybe she thought you would like very much object if you weren't allowed
No,
to.
that's the work wife. It's the
Yeah,
telepathy
that's
here.
right.
It is.
That's
This is how we
exciting.
hire all the
In-person in the
interns. She
spring.
doesn't wait till we get off the call. She'll extend the offers because she can read. She can read me. So yeah, so we're doing the summit, but I think that has given like that's been motivating us a lot,
Yeah.
and we're really like loving to create our own experience. So that in our planning session this morning, I feel like that radiated through all the products that we're building between now and then, like that whole like
Yeah.
not just teaching something, but actually helping people apply it, and giving people that like that hotel lobby experience in everything that we do, which is a piece I think we've been missing. So I'm super
And I think
excited about that.
I've been hearing a lot about that from some very, you know, big people in online space about that. Yeah, especially with AI going forward, helping people implement and take action is going to be so key to the, in addition to the teaching, but like helping
Right.
them. I love
Well, and it's
that. I
been
love
heart
that.
wrenching watching our industry the last year,
Yeah.
2 years. Like
Yeah.
just how many people are suffering or have closed their businesses.
Yeah.
And who's succeeding. Like some of the people that are succeeding, like there aren't people I'd want to sit at a table. Not everyone, like there are many successful people on our field. But right, like I don't know, I'm excited to see if we can turn that tide a little.
Yeah, I think it's a good, not a pivot, but a good addition to make.
And I think one of the things we've seen in our group coaching, in our masterminds, is that we are very smart people, right? We can consume information. If we want to know how to do something, we can Google it and find the answer. But where we tend to falter is in the implementation, right? Either we don't have the accountability, so we start off strong and then just drop off, or we get confused and we stop. Or worse, we get confused and we keep going, but in the wrong direction. So what's lacking there is the implementation part, right? Somebody to hold your hand and to kind of guide you through taking action on what you learned. I mean, how many times we go to conferences, we come home with a notebook full of things we're going to do. And the minute we get off the plane, we forgot about our notebook.
Yeah.
So
no, so true.
We don't want that.
That actually understand what you do, cheerleading for you.
Right. Or saying,
like,
yes, that's great.
And we're very lonely. Like it's a very lonely thing we do. The people that love you most probably don't understand a lick of what you do at work.
No, not even a little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah. But like we notice that when we get together and we're sitting in a hotel room and Corinne has an idea and I'm like, yes, and like you can start building and growing and turning that little nugget. That little ember becomes a flame because you're surrounded by the right people trying to help you make it happen.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that is super, super key. And I love that I'm hearing that you guys are like on the same page with that, because that's been something I've been realizing for
it's what's
my
missing
own stuff.
Yeah. It's really what's missing, I think.
Yeah.
And
it is.
We approach this from that perspective. Like we wanted to build something that currently wasn't being met. We were listening to all like the feedback and what people were saying that they wanted to see and picking up on those notes. And hopefully we're building something
that's super exciting.
Yeah, we're excited. We're excited.
Yeah. Okay, so where can my listeners find you, connect with you, and sort of binge more of what you guys do?
thesmartinfluencer.com. I say in my best podcasting voice.
There you go.
You can find our podcast. You can find our Airtable templates that we sell. You can find all of our group coaching, our power plans, all that stuff is on thesmartinfluencer.com.
That is awesome. So I will make sure that goes in the show notes too for anybody who missed it. So thank you, Christina and Corinne, so much for coming on the show today. This has been such an awesome conversation. I loved it.
I know. I loved it too.
Thank you for having us. It was fun.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's it for today on The Shannon Atchison Show. If you found this helpful, follow the show and share it with a friend. And hey, if you're not sure what kind of business actually fits your life, take the free quiz at shannonatchison.com. It'll point you in the right direction. Thanks for listening. Talk again soon.